They have to share one hand. I've come into the shelter of the greenhouse because that real icy cold wind outside makes being outdoors a little bit unpleasant, even though I was so looking forward to being a bit outside because the weather has been just terrible. And I harvested this plant yesterday. So I have two plants here, one of each variety. One is considered like yellow or like natural coloured one, and the other one is a red one. And we're expecting another spell of cold weather next week, and pretty much the whole week the temperatures, overnight temperatures, are supposed to go below freezing, and this is not frost hardy. Now I've so far managed to sort of protect it from the previous cold spells by just trying to cover the crown up a bit. And what I did, I actually layered the horticultural fleece with a bit of fruit netting, and I was just thinking that the fruit netting will, because it's such an airy material and it's not very dense, so even if it gets wet, it's not going to sort of, and if it freezes, then it won't actually freeze into a clump like horticultural net would if it's in a big lump. Because I had already seen how the frost had gradually affected, let's say, the foliage and then the stems. Obviously the snow just totally did it for the stems and the leaves themselves. But yeah, absolutely delighted to see that the layering of those two materials has kept the frost off the actual growing tips, or these rhizomes that I would need to get this successfully planted again next year, because it is a perennial plant. This is yacon. And what you're actually eating, so if I take the red version here again, are these storage tubers. And why one might grow it is, first of all, obviously the harvesting time is going to be winter time, so when most of the other crops are already gone over or they're in storage somewhere. But this can be eaten raw as it is, and it's really fleshy, really crispy and sort of juicy tuber. And the taste of it is a little bit, I suppose, to me it reminds a lot of the water chestnut, really sort of crunchy. But if it cures now indoors, that's in a warm spot for a week or so, it actually should go really sweet. And you can eat the whole lot. You can eat the skin of it, it's very thin, or otherwise you can sort of scrape the skin a bit off and just eat it just crunchy, raw like that, and it should actually get really, really sweet. But the beauty of the plant is obviously that the sweet taste, but it doesn't have the same effect as sugar would if you have, let's say, diabetes issues. Not that our family has any diabetes issues, but it's still good to have plants like that and test them out, and maybe in the future you might need them. So I've taken that in, and what I'm trying to do, because actually one of them created its own little pup already, so otherwise you'd be planting this sort of, obviously you'll be harvesting these tubers off it first of all, but then you're planting it up again. You see these little growing tips there. I'm going to leave that little bit of a feeding root, or that tuberous storage root, with this whole stalk, and that can nourish the fresh growth itself. As anything that has fallen off itself already, obviously that's to be eaten. And I don't really have any other place to store it over winter. But what I did last year as well is I actually planted it into a pot, and I have plenty of spent potato compost left over in the wheelbarrow still. If I get a couple of smaller pots, I can pot them up, and they can stay here inside the greenhouse, and they'll be fine throughout the winter. Now, which one will I harvest first? So I think I'll try this one. There's just amazing big tubers out of it. But we're after another big winter storms, and I was earlier in the cottage garden, and I was just cutting back all the foliage from there because of the taller stems. They were really getting broken by the wind itself as well, so I didn't want the main crown part of the plant to get damaged. Now the main plant that got a lot of sort of wind damage at the moment was the salvia, but I removed as much of the old foliage as I could, just so that the plants would be better. That broke into two, so, and that's actually brilliant. So with the red variety, I actually had just one plant, so this was all one group, but they have naturally created their own little clusters, and one is after just falling off. You see all those beautiful fleshy growing tips? This is what you really want to mind, because that's where all the new growth will come next year. And this is going to break apart now as well. You can see it, it's just sort of interlinked with another tuber here. There we go. And I'm going to leave all those small storage tubers attached, because these can keep feeding this top growing tips, this rhizome itself. Here's one. So out of one plant I already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 new ones. Now I'm going to take this guy off it. Now I'll try to do exactly the same one with the bigger one, and this is really huge. Like, look at the size of these storage tubers. So there's a lot of nice crunchy fresh, sort of, I suppose, yeah, it's going to be like a pear or apple substitute, just if you want something sweet and juicy type of an idea. Something nice to experiment with. So they could actually be nearly like a pear or apple substitute. A little bit of fresh, juicy, sweet tasting root in the depth of winter. But if you do have a lot of it, you can actually make syrup out of it. So it can be similar to like honey, or like maple syrup type of a thing. So I'm so afraid to actually pull it. So hard. Wow. No, they do actually snap really easily even when taken out of the ground, so you do have to be careful. Yeah, big one. Like the size of this. They're huge. They're so much. And you can make it, put it into sort of salads, stir fries. Look at that. But as a taste of it, at the moment, as it is totally fresh, like right out of the ground, it's a very mild taste. It really, you couldn't say it has any distinctive taste. It's very, very mild. Look, that's actually split up itself now as well. So that's its own separate plant. So again, I already propagating after first year of growing. Thinking, will I leave this one there? But I feel that I am maybe a little bit behind with some of the jobs. Not that I'm too stressed about it actually, but it just, life has gotten so busy. And, oh, I really can't. Oh, yes, that was a hard one. Another huge one, but that was really stuck inside there. And I think this big one should come off as well, and then the rest, oh yeah, this definitely comes off. And this. So that's another big one for next year. And like, it's already sending out another new shoot from here, and that's where I just snapped off the tubers. At least I did get the garlic planted, both the hardneck and elephant garlics, and I just popped them into the pumpkin beds, the 3 pumpkin beds, with a bit of seaweed granules and chicken manure pellets, I think I added to it as well. Blossom. You okay? Oh, they're garlic. I know you wouldn't mind eating them. I'm not going to give it to them. Aye, I'm not going to give you these. Come on. No, Blossom. No, 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 no. You can't take it. That's yours. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Don't take it, please. I haven't added any of the spring flowering bulbs yet because that order hasn't arrived yet. So I suppose they'll go in now after Christmas. I doubt I'll get anything done before Christmas because we're going away for Christmas as well. So we'll be missing for a good week from that time. But I'll go now and plant these guys up, and then I think I'd actually want to harvest my very first bucket of the main crop potatoes. So far I've been always harvesting the second early potatoes. I think it's time for a main crop as well, and I'm thinking taking some of the beetroot sweet or the rutabaga as well, celeriac, all for really good nice volume of roast for this evening's dinner. This is just spent compost, yeah, from the pots of potatoes that I had. But actually I can see shoots poking out, shoots of potatoes poking out of the soil. So I'd say some small potatoes have stayed behind. Now I'll put that variety where I was able to split one of the crowns into 5. I'll actually put them all into the same pot. Because I will have to plant them out anyway into the soil come early summer. Now, out of the potatoes, I'm thinking of taking a bucket of Cara, which is a nice white-fleshed variety, but it's really flowery type of potato as well. And it's been last year actually I didn't grow Cara, so I'm really looking forward to this one. I grew it 2 years ago last. it will make a beautiful roast potato. So now I'm going to reach it. Oh, I'll just empty it in here, and I'll take then one of these Swedes or rutabagas as well. I have to be just like chores. Oh, I can already see. Oh, well. And that's what I remember about the Cara there. The size was so big. Look at that. That's just a real proper potato. A couple of funny shapes. Oh, look at that. There's so much of a harvest out of them. I think and these would have been planted in April with a bit of seaweed granules and either fish blood and bone or worm or chicken manure pellets, one or the other. And they have been really successful. In a couple of pots now I can actually see shoots coming up, so some of the main crop are starting to really sprout because the weather has been really yo-yo in a way of it's cold and then it's mild again and then it's cold, but they just keep on giving. Look at that. That is just stunning. And throughout the summer I actually noticed in this corner of the kitchen garden bed that a potato was coming up, so obviously a volunteer, because I used to empty a lot of the buckets into this area, and I'll just take this up as well, whatever it is, whatever make it is. Oh wow, oh wow, these are the chores for the plant. I see a potato in here. And it's an Aran Victory for sure, because that's the purple skinned variety, one of our family's favourite. So a small one here. Oh. Yeah, the volunteer potatoes sometimes are doing better than what you actually plant officially. Now the soil depth isn't great in here, so I don't think they've gone into the clay layer that's underneath this layer of topsoil. But there's definitely a big, oh whoa, something hit against it. That's a beautiful potato. Isn't that gas how sometimes a volunteer potatoes can do way better than what you actually have planted? Now this is just the root of what? Calendula? Cosmos? No, I don't think there's any more, so one big potato. Well, if I left something behind, I suppose it was going to pop up next spring again. So I'll take these and we'll just wash them all off. And I took a Swede as well. And we'll take a couple of beetroots.